Hello everyone, hope you're having the most awesome day today. Welcome to the Film Insight channel. For today's video, we're going to cover some amazing race facts that you might not have known about. So, sit back, relax, and without further ado, let's get right into the content, guys. 20 feet. If you've been on a film set before, you'd come to understand that the shooting process can be lengthy and grueling. Even more so for the cameramen on The Amazing Race, who have the most difficult job imaginable. Rather than setting up in a specific area and filming relatively static shots, cameras have to be constantly following contestants who are often running about. While running alone can be difficult, imagine constantly having a 20 to 30 pound camera on your shoulder while simultaneously ensuring that you have a good shot. Yeah, sounds awful. But it gets even worse. Each team on the show is assigned their own cameraman and sound person who are required to stay within 20 feet of them at all times. Meaning every cab and plane ride, the same two crew members will have to keep up at the same pace. Once you find this fact out, it's hard not to hope that they get paid a large sum of money for doing what seems impossible. Additionally, it makes me wonder if there's ever been a case where the contestants and crew members didn't get along. It would be incredibly uncomfortable to have someone you dislike trail you for days upon days and record your every move. Assuming you wouldn't be able to handle a situation like that, it's probably best not to apply for the next Amazing Race. Extremely difficult. Many might assume that since this is a reality show, things might certainly be exaggerated and not as hard as they seem. Well, you'd be sorely mistaken to think that behind the scenes the contestants have a chance to take it easy. You may think that when the cameras are off, the competitors go to a local Hilton and spend their free time eating locally sourced food as well as drink signature cocktails. Nope, what you see is exactly what you get. Throughout the competition, they truly live out of their backpacks and even sleep on the floors of airports when required. This should be a given since the show is called The Amazing Race and not The Amazing Getaway. For this very reason, the contestants will normally prepare their bodies beforehand through rigorous training. I mean, how else would they be able to pull off all that running, sleepless nights, and extreme stress? While yes, it's understandable to think that this genre of TV can be pretty dishonest with its portrayal of reality, but this series is closer to it than most. Try to think twice if you believe you can use this race as a means to live in luxury, since it's honestly extremely difficult. We warned you. Waiting around. Picture this. You're on your way to a beautiful island with your family for a little vacation filled with excitement for what's to come. You make it to the airport only to find hundreds of people waiting in line to weigh their baggage and pass through security. Next thing you know, you've been waiting for 2 straight hours, completely annoyed about how long you've been idly standing by. Now take that and erase the beautiful vacation on the other side and replace it with more pain and suffering. Yeah, that's something The Amazing Race fails to highlight. Often contestants will sit around for hours before finally getting onto their flight. Of course, it makes sense that they wouldn't show the boring, slowed down wait times to their viewers, but it definitely makes them overlook that fact. Though even if this part isn't included, it's labeled as one of the more stressful parts of the competition. One former contestant even mentioned in an interview how awful the downtime at the airport truly is. She expressed that if you're wet and your shoes are wet, you still have to drive straight to the airport. Once you're there, you have to wait 8 hours for your flight. Some of the female contestants would be at the airport in the bathroom trying to bathe in the sink. That just sounds terrible. Tell us in the comments if you've ever needed to do something similar. Booking flights. It's easy to think that for a show like this to run smoothly that the production team would book flights for the contestants in advance. Though the reality of it is pretty harsh. Those competing are forced to book their own flights, which makes things inconsistent from team to team. In an interview with one of the producers, they expressed that everything on the show is completely organic. Sometimes they'll find deals that get them there 20 minutes earlier by hopping from flight to flight, and we're just like, wow. But then in other cases, especially contestants who aren't used to traveling that much, they're at a huge disadvantage. At least for this part of the competition, travel agents or those who vacation abroad frequently have the upper hand. Personally, if I have to deal with this level of planning and pressure, I would, without a doubt, fail in a heartbeat. How do you think you'd fare in this situation? Is it really that simple to find deals for flights, or am I just overthinking things? Interesting choice. Considering The Amazing Race has a relatively high budget of around $1.2 million per episode, it's easy to imagine that they would hire the best people available to plan the race's route. You'd think, after all, with such a large sum of money, they'd mostly allocate it into planning the competition. Well, you'd be very wrong with that. In essence, the producers just get into a room they call the War Room and look at a huge map. Supposedly, nothing is off limits in the entire world, they just go by what they think would be the funnest. And by funnest, we don't mean for the contestants at all, but more for those who are watching the show. A producer of the show named Elise Daguinieri revealed that they would often ponder on ideas like, what's exciting or where haven't we been yet? After this rather quick discussion, they plan where the challenges will be held and then move into the actual competition. One thing that's clear about the process is that if there's a place that the Amazing Race hasn't been to, you should expect that they'll be there soon. It's a quite unexpected and interesting way to choose their locations, don't you think? Too fast. To be completely fair, when you're in a rush, the last thing you'd want to do is stand around and try to analyze clues that are sometimes unclear. Often in the show, you'll see some contestants sprint towards a clue, look at it for a whopping 15 seconds, and then run off like they know exactly what's going on. In that moment, all you can think is, how the hell did they even process what was said in such a short amount of time? There's absolutely no chance that they're going to remember any of it. It seems like this is something the producers also recognize, since they're always telling the contestants to take their time. All they really need to do in order to be a step ahead of their competitors is to read the clues and make sure to understand them clearly. Well, do the contestants listen to their advice? Most of the time, no, but it seems like the frontrunners do at least. It's quite baffling how those who rush reading the clues don't understand that they're going to pay for it later on. Assuming you've already read the old fable about the tortoise and the hare, you know how rushing things ends. You truly need a solid amount of patience for this part of the competition, since it will benefit you greatly. Being kind. There are a lot of things we've mentioned that are essential to getting ahead in the competition, like being physically fit, knowing how to book flights effectively, and being patient. Though there's one thing many might overlook, and according to the producers is absolutely necessary for those who want to win. It may come to a surprise, but being kind to the locals and respecting their culture can actually help you succeed. Let's put it this way. You travel to a foreign country with a completely different set of standards, and it's a shock to you. But rather than try to adapt to it, you yell at the locals and treat them like they're dumb, since they're not doing things the way you want them to. While some might think that the best way to handle this is to treat them poorly to get them to bend to your will, it only causes conflict. It's quite cringy to see rich to middle class Americans just dog on some poor local cab driver who doesn't even speak English, as if it's their fault. Then they have the audacity to wonder why the cab driver is going slowly, and it's because of how they were treated. Yes, it may sound manipulative to act kind to get stuff in return, but it's much better than disrespecting someone for having a different culture than yours. If you want someone else to do something for you, it's common sense that you need to provide value in return, like being nice. Heavy baggage. We all understand the discomfort of having to carry a bag on our backs throughout our academic careers. In most cases, students will fill them up with binders, books, and supplies that will last them throughout the day. It's safe to say that even this small amount of weight can become increasingly uncomfortable if left on your back for long enough. That's why most people will normally put it in their lockers or somewhere on the floor so they don't have to experience that. Now take this annoyance and multiply it by 1,000. That's what the Amazing Race contestants have to deal with. Not only do they have tons of supplies in their bags, but they have their clothes, snacks, and anything you could imagine. What's more, they don't have the comfort of storing their bags anywhere to get a break. They essentially have to have it on for a month straight. To make things even worse, they have to take into account that they're going to be traveling to places with different climates, meaning they have to pack for any type of condition. Thinking about the weight on their backs is just unbearable. Well, that'll be all for today's video here on the channel, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and if you did, be sure to drop a massive like down below and comment your thoughts. Subscribe for more content like this and turn on those sweet bell notifications for instant access to our content. Have a good one, guys.